From Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida, United Launch Alliance presents live Delta IV launch coverage. On board Delta IV today, the AFSPC-4 mission for the United States Air Force.
Range go for launch. Roger, go for launch.
T-minus 3, 2, 1.
Atlas engine ignition.
Liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy rocket.
This is Delta Mission Control at T-minus 4 minutes, 30 seconds and counting. Launch countdown operations are continuing and the team is not working any technical issues at this time. Good evening and welcome to Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. I'm Danielle Taylor and I'll be your commentator for this evening's mission. We are experiencing another evening of unsettled weather here at Cape Canaveral, but the Delta IV rocket is fueled and ready for an opportunity to launch AFSPC-4 for the United States Air Force. Today's 65-minute launch window opens at 6:51 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Following liftoff, you'll hear the voice of Steve Agad providing launch vehicle ascent data. In just a moment, at T-minus 4 minutes, the launch count will enter a planned 15-minute hold. This hold allows launch conductor Doug LeBeau and his team time to address any last-minute tasks. However, at this point, we are moving towards a 6:51 p.m. liftoff. At the request of our customer, we'll conclude today's live coverage with payload fairing jettison, which is scheduled to occur approximately 5 minutes after liftoff. However, before we sign off, I will be joined by Captain Dan Knapmiller from the Air Force Research Laboratory. Captain Knapmiller and I will discuss their role in the AFSPC-4 mission. This is Delta Mission Control at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. Tonight's Delta IV rocket is carrying 3 payloads to orbit, 2 geosynchronous Space Situational Awareness Program satellites, and an automated navigation and guidance experiment for local space, or ANGELS satellite. Built by Orbital Sciences Corporation, the twin GSSA program satellites will support U.S. Strategic Command Space Surveillance operations and the Joint Functional Component Command for Space by collecting space situational awareness data, allowing for more accurate tracking and characterization of man-made orbiting objects. With unobstructed and distinct vantage points for viewing resident space objects orbiting Earth, the data gathered will uniquely contribute to timely and accurate orbital predictions, enhancing our knowledge of the geosynchronous orbit environment and further enabling spaceflight safety, including satellite collision avoidance. Managed by the Air Force Research Laboratory Space Vehicles Directorate, the ANGELS satellite will examine techniques for providing a clearer picture of the environment surrounding our nation's vital space assets by testing several new spacecraft technologies and operations methodologies. ANGELS hosts a space situational awareness sensor, and by targeting a limited region around the Delta IV second stage, will evaluate techniques for the detection, tracking, and characterization of space objects, as well as attribution of actions in space with the goal of dramatically reducing the probability of collision with other space objects in an increasingly congested space environment. As I just mentioned, the weather is once again unsettled here at Cape Canaveral. The launch team did recently receive a final weather briefing from the 45th Space Wing's weather officer, and was told the weather is not within the launch commit criteria for this evening's liftoff. The 4 constraints that are currently being violated are the lightning rule, the surface electric field rule, the cumulus cloud rule, and the flight through precipitation rule. So even though we are continuing to violate established launch constraints, we are completing the final steps in the countdown and proceeding towards a liftoff. United Launch Alliance is using the Delta IV Medium Plus 4-2 configuration to launch AFSPC-4. This is the 27th Delta IV Evolved Expendable Launch Vehicle mission since the inaugural flight in 2002. The Delta IV is produced in Decatur, Alabama, and is comprised of a common booster core, powered by the Aerojet Rocketdyne RS-68 engine, 2 Alliant Tech Systems solid rocket motors, and a Delta cryogenic second stage, powered by the Aerojet Rocketdyne RL-10B2 engine. The encapsulated payload fairing containing the AFSPC-4 mission was transported to Space Launch Complex 37 and made it to the Delta IV launch vehicle on July 11th. In preparation for launch, the Mobile Service Tower, or MST, was rolled back, revealing the Delta IV launch vehicle. The 33-story MST weighs over 9 million pounds and is rolled to its launch position 300 feet north of the Delta IV launch vehicle. The Delta IV stands 206 feet tall, or about 20 stories, and weighs approximately 721,000 pounds fully fueled. The Delta IV delivers more than 821,000 pounds of thrust off the launch pad, and approximately 4 minutes later, at stage separation, it weighs just 20% of what it did at liftoff. For those watching the broadcast, you're looking at video taken Wednesday at Space Launch Complex 37. This is Delta Mission Control at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, today's live coverage will end with confirmation of payload fairing jettison. While we wait for the count to resume, let's take a closer look at the events we can expect to see following tonight's liftoff.
The following profile details the important events of this mission using approximate times.
8, 7, 6, 5. We have ignition of the main engine. And we have liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Delta IV rocket.
The Delta RS-68 main engine and 2 strap-on solid rocket motors ignite to lift the vehicle away from the pad. Shortly after liftoff, Delta begins its initial pitch and yaw maneuvers to attain the proper ascent profile and minimize aerodynamic loads. Delta IV reaches Mach 1, the speed of sound, at 47 seconds. At 60 seconds, the vehicle reaches maximum dynamic pressure. At 1 minute and 40 seconds, the solid rocket motors are jettisoned. Approaching main engine cutoff, the Delta IV is burning propellant at the rate of approximately 1,040 pounds per second, flying at more than 79 miles in altitude, 241 miles downrange, and traveling at nearly 12,500 miles per hour. Main engine cutoff occurs just over 4 minutes into the flight. 6 seconds after main engine cutoff, the first stage is jettisoned. Second stage engine ignition takes place at 4 minutes and 25 seconds. At 4 minutes 36 seconds, the payload fairing is jettisoned.
This is Delta Mission Control at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. Today's flight is dedicated to our friend and colleague Michael G. Woolley. Following a nearly 24-year distinguished career in the Air Force, Mike retired as a lieutenant colonel and began a new career with the Boeing Company in 1998, working on the Delta IV program. While at Boeing, Mike was very involved with the refurbishment of Space Launch Complex 37 at the Cape, in preparation for the inaugural launch of the first Delta IV rocket. Once ULA was formed in 2006, Mike joined the communications team and was best known for leading tours and sharing his immense knowledge and love of the space program and history of the Cape. Mike was also extremely active in the community and would often be seen leading the ULA charge at United Way, Veteran, and Special Olympics events. Mike was a consummate professional, as well as a kind and considerate person. His legacy will continue with each new tour group that hears the official Woolley Tours script, and leaves more educated and enthusiastic about the great work that ULA is a part of. His memory will remain, and he is greatly missed.
RC, verify solar radiation limits acceptable for launch.
RC on 1.
Verify solar radiation limits acceptable for launch.
Verified.
This is LC on 1 with the terminal count briefing. If a condition exceeds a launch constraint anytime after the terminal count status check, the observer shall announce hold, hold, hold on channel 1, identify their station, and briefly state the reason for the hold.
L-9 minutes.
The launch director, LC, channel 1.
LD on 1.
Roger, LD. At this time, we are still in a Phase 2 lightning advisory. We have not been able to complete our flight slews testing, and at this time I recommend us extending the hold.
I concur, LC.
Roger. Timer, do not release the hold.
Copy.
And ALC, hold fire on.
Hold fire on.
And range coordinator, LC.
This is range coordinator 1.
Roger. Please advise the range at this time we are extending our hold awaiting Phase 2 lightning warning to be lifted.
Roger, and work.
This is Delta Mission Control at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. As you just heard, the hold has been extended while we wait for the Phase 2 lightning to clear. We are waiting to hear a new launch time, and we will keep you updated.
LC, this is FMA on channel 1.
Go ahead.
The primary wind load relief file has been loaded into the RIFCA and verified. The internal checksum is 4 Fox 1 Delta.
Roger.
LC ECS on 1.
Go ahead.
Payload varying ECS is stable at 2133 SCFM.
Roger.
This is Delta Mission Control at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. We remain in the hold while we wait for the weather to clear and wait for the team to establish a new launch time. The Air Force's EELV program includes the Delta IV family of launch vehicles, as well as ULA's Atlas V family of launch vehicles. To date, more than 70 EELV missions have delivered satellites to orbit that pinpoint enemy movements, anticipate dangerous weather, and help first responders save lives. Developed by the United States Air Force to provide assured access to space for the Department of Defense and other government payloads, the Evolved Expendable Launch Vehicle, or EELV program, supports the full range of government mission requirements, while delivering on schedule and providing significant cost savings over heritage launch systems. Contracted in October 1998, both the Atlas V and Delta IV were conceived, designed, and developed in just 4 years, with the first EELV flight in August 2002. With 80% of the development funding coming from Lockheed Martin and Boeing, the Atlas V and Delta IV are the most commercially developed vehicles flying today. Together, Atlas V and Delta IV EELVs have sent missions to the Moon, Mars, Jupiter, and Pluto, in addition to consistently delivering more than 40 vital national security missions. EELV's proven reliability is a key element of affordable access to space.
LC, MEQ on 1.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. With the weather having calmed down considerably from an hour ago, with your concurrence, I'd like to do the pin pull functional at this time.
Roger, we're just waiting until phase 2 hopefully gets cleared here shortly.
Copy.
This is Delta Mission Control at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. We remain in the hold due to a number of weather violations, including the lightning rule, the surface electric field rule, the cumulus clouds rule, and the flight through precipitation rule. We'll continue to remain in the hold and wait for the launch team to establish a new launch time. We'll keep you updated as updates come in. This is Delta Mission Control at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. As you can see in the feed, we are still experiencing a number of lightning strikes here at Cape Canaveral. We continue to remain in the hold while we wait for the weather to clear. Tonight's launch window extends through 7:56 p.m. Eastern Time.
LCRC on 1.
Go ahead.
Roger that. New expected clear time for the phase 2 is now 23:30. 23:30.
Roger.
This is Delta Mission Control at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. As you've just heard, the expected clear time for the Phase 2 lightning warning is 23:30 Zulu. That's 7:30 p.m. Eastern. So we will continue to remain in the hold and wait for that to clear before we establish a new launch time.
LC, this is MD on Channel 1.
Roger, go ahead, MD.
MD, LC rather, based upon current weather, insufficient time remaining in the window to accomplish remaining tasks, I'm declaring a scrub for tonight's operation. Please proceed with detanking and recycle for a 48-hour recycle, please.
Roger, copy scrub for tonight with a 48-hour recycle.
Affirmative.
Copy that. All personnel, please turn to page 101, scrub detanking operations. Launch Director, LC.
LD on 1.
Roger, sir. With Mission Director calling a scrub for tonight's operation, look for your permission to proceed into scrub detanking operations.
Please proceed, LC.
Roger. RC, LC.
This RC on 1.
This is Delta Mission Control at T-minus 4 minutes. It has just been confirmed that we will not continue with launch activities this evening, but we'll try again on Monday the 28th at 6:43 p.m. For the most up-to-date information, please visit our website, www.ulalaunch.com, or call our launch hotline 1-877-852-4321. I'm Danielle Taylor. Thank you for joining us. This concludes tonight's broadcast.